What is up, sussies? Now, previously I had given my following the choice between this video concept and more anime theories, and they chose the theory route every single time because they hate me and know I have a fragile work ethic. All jokes aside, if you'd like a chance to vote on future videos, go follow my TikTok. This week I have made the executive decision of going the anime recommendation route, not because I am lazy, but because I have some hidden gems. So basically we're going to be covering what I call anime lost to time, and my criteria for these anime are essentially they have to be like 9 or 10 out of 10 anime from my perspective, and I have never seen them spoken about on TikTok at all. So what I refer to as like the new generation of anime fans, because they're all on TikTok. That being said, let's get into the list, and if you enjoyed this video, please like it up and subscribe. And this is going to be the last video for my manga giveaway, so I'm giving away the first volume of Dead Man Wonderland and the 27th volume of D. Gray Man because they are manga that I wanted to recommend. And I couldn't find any other volume of D. Gray Man, but honestly, this one is super sad. And it's a good one. So if you want to win either of those volumes, just comment in any of my videos, and I'm going to run like a little raffle thing and contact the winner. So the first anime on this list holds a little special place in my heart, being one of the first anime that I ever saw, but this one's called Birdie the Mighty Decode. So Birdie the Mighty Decode is a reboot series of Birdie the Mighty, which I actually haven't seen, so I can't speak on that particular adaptation. However, what I can say is the reboot is fantastic. So Birdie is basically a superhuman space android girl who is part of a race known as the Ixurons. The Ixurons were solely created as weapons, and they exist to serve no other purpose. However, Birdie hates this, and she becomes basically a space cop. Birdie ends up getting a mission on Earth where she accidentally murks this civilian kid, no surprise there, and feels really bad about it, so she like uploads his conscience to her body for the purpose of saving it to be uploaded into a new body. Strange concept, but the story follows their relationship, and I promise it's good. And the action, for being from like 2007 or 2006, I believe, the animation is fantastic. Moving on to the second anime on this list, I would argue this is, like, by ratio, probably one of the most underrated animes of all time. That anime being Rainbow Nisha Rokubo no Shichinin. I really believe I am the only person who speaks about this anime. I don't know if I'm the only one who knows about it, but I've never heard anybody else talk about it. So the best way I have of describing this story is that it's basically Shonen Shawshank Redemption. A bunch of teens get put in an all-ages, super brutal post-World War II Japanese prison, and the story essentially follows their life in prison for the first half and their life acclimating back into society for the second half. So you can see why I drew the comparison to Shawshank Redemption. So the third anime I put on here for nostalgia reasons and just to give people a taste of 90s anime because there isn't that many on this list. But basically, the third anime is Sayuki, which is a classic 90s anime adventure based on the Journey to the West folktale. I'm not going to say it's the most unique plot ever. It's literally the adaptation of, like, one of the older plots ever. But yeah, 4 dudes who fight, they basically have to journey to stop a demon from awakening. So they don't have to fight him, because that would suck. Okay, going back to more original plots, we have Blood Plus. Now, unfortunately, I know exactly why Blood Plus was lost to time. People started watching Blood C, which is the wildly inferior reboot of it that literally only existed to be gory. Blood Plus, however, has an actual plot based on the world building of the classic anime movie Blood. Blood Plus follows the relationship of 2 immortal vampiress high queens, basically, named Saya and Diva. They were both initially the same, but at some point Saya started to value life. However, Diva never did, and she's pretty much the worst you can be in every possible situation, but I guess she's not human, so that kind of makes sense. The conflict between them is sort of assisted by these drone-like creatures that are basically like buff bats called Chiropterans, and they're mindless, like, dumb idiots, except for the advanced ones known as Chevalier. So the conflict between the 2 sisters isn't really just between the 2 sisters, it's between, like, all the Chevalier, the mutant creatures, a bunch of different military organizations, basically, like, Vampire MK Ultra. There's a lot of shit. I've watched Blood Plus more than once. Out of any of the ones on this list, this is definitely one of the ones I would put in the top 2. Moving on to the next mention in this video, and it's pretty much a tragedy that this one never gets mentioned anymore. That show being Eureka 7. I know it's going to trigger enough people already that they pronounce Eureka, Eureka, but it works. It's a name. You just gotta get over it. That being said, Eureka 7 most likely died out in reputation when the mecha genre died out as a whole. I mean, obviously there's still mecha coming out, like 86, but overall, they're not producing the same amount as they did the last, like, 20 years. But Eureka 7 was one of those mecha gems where, like, you kind of forget that you're even watching a mecha because of how original, like, the world building and the plot is. It's like its own genre in a way. It's like sci-fi fantasy with robots, a little bit kind of like Code Geass. This is the best description I have for the overall, like, plot for Eureka 7. Imagine FaZe Clan bought a flying warship and started rebelling against the government to promote their brand, but also to do the morally right thing. That's basically what Eureka 7 is. There's a bunch of, like, sky surfer skaters that pilot sky surfing mechs, and they fight the government who also has sky surfing mechs, but at the same time they take sweet pics for their magazine. It's like a Supreme magazine, I guess. The main character is Renton Thurston, who is the grandson of a famous pilot and the son of a famous pilot. And he ends up joining the Gecko State, which is the group that I was just talking about. And they fly around and do stuff. And he ends up getting sucked into the war and everything. It's very, very good. It goes all the way into, like, mutant aliens, trust me. It's not the Naruto way, I promise. But yes, very original plot, 10 out of 10 anime, would highly recommend. And, oh, I forgot. It's got crazy romance for no reason. Like, honestly, out of all the romance anime that I've seen, Eureka 7 cleans them, besides, like, Clanad and maybe, like, Golden Time. That one was pretty good. But, yeah. Up next, I have scientific evidence for this particular entry. That evidence being that this anime was the original Squid Game, and nobody freaked out about it like they did for Squid Game. And that anime is Kaiji. Kaiji is about a dude who is essentially a loser, but he's a little bit crafty, and he gets himself into way too much debt. This loan sharky type guy named Tonagawa offers him an opportunity to erase all of that debt by playing certain games for the wealthy. I don't want to spoil too much, but the story basically follows Kaiji playing these games for like 50 episodes. The plot's crazy. At some point, he ends up in a mine. I don't want to spoil much more than that, but he ends up underground for his debt, I promise. It's a very interesting story. And I mentioned the Squid Game aspect. There are both fatal and non-fatal games that Kaiji has to play, so don't worry, you'll get your adrenaline rush. Sometimes it's a little too much because there's a few pacing issues at those parts. That's one con that I will give you guys. So earlier I mentioned anime that succumbed to different tragedies. Well, this particular anime franchise as a whole succumbed to the tragedy of Scarlett Johansson. I'm just playing Scarlett. If you end up on a 98 view anime theory video with Halo B-roll gameplay and you hear me diss your ass, I'm just kidding. I love you. I love you. Yeah, so the franchise is Ghost in the Shell. I don't know if you guys caught on to that yet, but the specific adaptation I'm referring to is Standalone Complex. Now, Standalone Complex is exactly what it states. In terms of the canon of Ghost in the Shell and the universe of Ghost in the Shell, it is a standalone complex. It is not canon to the main universe. It has its own canon. Which is good because it's so much better in my opinion. It very much feels like an anime version of the Dark Knight franchise with Christian Bale. Like, the villains are super psychological thriller-y. There's mystery elements. The animation is, like, weirdly good for no reason. I think it might have been done by Aniplex or something. And for those of you who did see the live-action movie, a perfect example of how good the animation was is there's a scene where a geisha bot gets her head, like, let's say, cleaned. And, that's based off of a scene in Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, actually the intro scene. Overall, super suspenseful, sci-fi, mystery, combat, literally every genre nails it, nails them all. I do not know why they made that live action. I promise you, Standalone Complex is 1,000,000 times better. Finally, and this is going to be the last one for this particular video, so if you want a part 2, just let me know in the comments or something. We're going to go with my favorite fighting anime. What is it, guys? Is it Megalobox? Is it Hajime no Ippo? Do I have any sense? No, I do not. It's Kenichi, the mightiest disciple. I don't mean to shit on my recommendation. It's actually goated, it's just unknown, like I've been saying. But basically, a complete weakling with literally no ability named Kenichi ends up joining a dojo called Ryozan Pakto. I'm gonna keep saying it differently. I'll get it right one time. Ryozan Pakto basically houses like 6 masters of different martial arts. And Kenichi's goal throughout the series is to learn and master all of them so he doesn't get his ass beat over and over again, because he does, spoiler alert in the beginning, he gets his ass beat over and over again, and it's sick to see him not get his ass beat over and over again. I promise. Really hope you enjoyed, guys. Let me know if you want a part 2 of this particular video. Giveaway is still up. Leave a comment. I will put your name in like one of those magic wheel things online, and we'll do it that way. Let me know what route you guys want me to go with content. Do you guys want me to go more theories, more commentary, a little bit of both like I've been doing, some other form of content? I am open to constructive criticism always. Deconstructive criticism hurts my baby bones and my baby nerves and my baby eyes and my baby ears and my baby... Yeah, just the baby. But yeah, I want to improve. I want to get better. I want that plaque. Literally don't care about anything else. I just want something for my wall, you know. It's the only reason I'm doing it. Very cool wall piece. Speaking of wall piece, I also could make One Piece content, so if you got One Piece fans in here, let me know. Shout out, and I will potentially represent you as well. Peace, sussies. Catch you next time.